Russia. Oh, sorry. I just couldn't go 3 seconds without mentioning Russia. Did I mention Russia? Russia. Oh, Russia. The Kremlin. Russia. Gotcha. All right, so just wanted to mention Russia a few times there. I don't think I was able to get that get that in enough because clearly I'm taking a page out of Hillary Clinton's playbook, which is just to mention Russia at every turn. So now we are in the wake of the third debate. We just got back. Jordan is actually in Chicago, but I'm back home in New Jersey. And yes, good morning to you too, Jenny. Russia, Russia, Russia. That's nothing like a good dose of Russia to start you off right in the morning, and a good cup of coffee, which I have been downing in order to get through this Russia fear-mongering. Most of the media is focusing on Donald Trump's saying that he's not going to accept the results of the election. We already know Trump's a disaster, a fearmonger, or a warmonger, but so is Hillary Clinton. He's also just floundering at this point, so it's kind of like beating a dead horse as opposed to beating a war drum, which is what Hillary Clinton is doing. So, as always here at 2IT Politics, we want to focus on the issues that the mainstream media isn't focusing on because they're essentially just taking these Russia talking points and repeating them and regurgitating them. But some in the media are actually doing a good job. So Jordan and I have been really impressed by at least The Nation, which is one of the only progressive outlets that hasn't sold out, besides what Jordan pointed out to me, hiring Joan Walsh, who's a complete Clinton hack. But they have been doing a lot of great work on, especially this Russia WikiLeaks narrative. They have this guy, Stephen Cohen, who's a guest columnist, I believe, or no, a contributing editor. And he has been singularly focusing on the Russia Clinton narrative. So I would encourage you guys to check that out. Stephen F. Cohen at The Nation. This latest article is, did the White House declare war on Russia? So that sounds like clickbait, but let's continue and read and see if you agree that it's just clickbait at this point. This was quoting from when President Biden, or Vice President Biden was on Meet the Press, and he talked about Russia, of course, regurgitating this Hillary Clinton narrative. That's just deflect, the same narrative that that was vomited on to Jordan the other day when Donna Brazile short-circuited. Obviously, I encourage you guys to check out that video. It is blowing up. But I will read directly from this Nation article. It just kind of deconstructs the danger of this Russian narrative that Hillary Clinton is and all of the Democratic operatives are pushing. It is not just political talk. It actually may have tangible consequences, especially because Hillary Clinton is probably going to be president. So let's start holding her feet to the fire right now, shall we? In response to a question about the alleged Russian hacking of Democratic Party offices in order to disrupt the presidential election and even throw it to Donald Trump, Biden said that the Obama administration was preparing to send Putin a message, presumably in the form of some kind of cyber attack. The Kremlin spokesman and several leading Russian commentators characterized Russia's announcement as a virtual American declaration of war on Russia and as the first ever in history. Cohen observed that at this fraught stage in the new U.S.-Russian Cold War, Biden's statement, which had clearly been planned by the White House, could scarcely have been more dangerous or reckless, especially considering that there is no actual evidence or logic for the two allegations against Russia that seem to have prompted it. So, this is kind of like weirdly written in the sense that they quote themselves in the article, Stephen Cohen, but basically, Biden just went on TV. I happen to think Biden seems like a pretty nice guy, but one of his pitfalls and one of the things that makes him who he is that he says whatever he thinks, and he says it in a very blunt manner. This is clearly manufactured by the Democrats and Hillary Clinton, but they had the blunt, straight talker go on to Meet the Press, so he was able to have the appearance of being sincere. And it's dangerous. What Hillary Clinton is not afraid of doing is flexing her muscle and using what she has in her arsenal to have a political advantage. Right now, it is politically advantageous for her to assert that the Russian government is interfering with the elections because as was screamed at each other in the debate, Hillary Clinton said that Trump is a puppet of Putin. So she's basically stoking those old Cold War flames, and that gives off, that's a politically advantageous for her. And there has been really no evidence given to the American public besides the assurance by her campaign and people associated with her campaign that the Russian government has had something to do with it. We haven't had any independent analysts come out and say that, and WikiLeaks tweeted this out actually and said the Hillary Clinton's 17 U.S. intelligence agencies that she cited include, they gave 5 examples. 1, the Coast Guard, an intelligence agency, the DEA, because, you know, Putin is constantly talking to the DEA, Naval Intelligence, Department of Energy, and Air Force Recon. So WikiLeaks is pushing back on this narrative that they are essentially agents of the Russian government, and you know, they're tweeting out, daily reminder, we are an independent organization, which they are. I'm not even saying that they didn't get tips from people in the Russian government, but we need proof first before you start stoking the flames of an old Cold War hatred. And then when you're president and you have a history of being incredibly militant and enjoying flexing your muscle and being an aggressive person in foreign policy, then we could be in a really dangerous situation because you're using this now during a general election for political advantage. I will continue. Biden was reacting to official U.S. charges of Kremlin hacking for political purposes. Cohen points out that in fact, no actual evidence for this allegation has been produced, only suppositions or, as Glenn Greenwald has argued, unproven assertions. While the U.S. political media establishment has uncritically stated the allegation as fact, an MIT expert, that's a pretty good school, right? Professor Theodore Postel has written that there is no technical way that the U.S. intelligence community could know who did the hacking if it was done by sophisticated nation-state actors. Boom. Instead, Cohen suggests the charges leveled by the Clinton campaign as part of its McCarthyite Kremlin baiting of Donald Trump are mostly political, and he laments the way U.S. intelligence officials have permitted themselves to be used for this unprofessional purpose. Love it. Moreover, it is far from clear that the Kremlin actually favors Trump, despite Clinton's campaign claims. She might as well have just, put Trump and Putin together in a Jack Reacher or James Bond film as the Russian villains, and then just set and made a poster of it and put it on her campaign. That's what she's trying to do. She knows that Russia is a villain in the eyes of many of the American people, and this is politically convenient. I'm not saying they don't even have any evidence. They may have some evidence that the hackers were Russian, and some of the articles that I've read assert that yes, there are Russian fingerprints on some of these documents, but to directly link it to the Russian government is reckless. You don't know what you're talking about. And you are about to lead the free world, as you like to say, or really lead the U.S., but still be the most powerful person in the world. Don't do this. I don't want to go to war. None of us want to go to war. So she wants to flex her muscle in such a way that it's a little scary. So this is, yes, a political maneuver by her, but it may have tangible consequences. The article continues, but the context also includes, Cohen points out, the stunning reversal of the U.S. political media establishment's narrative of the ongoing battle for the Syrian city of Aleppo. Gary Johnson, by the way, doesn't know what that is and wants a definition. Aleppo is a very important city in foreign policy, Gary Johnson, so just throwing that out there. It's the hub of the crisis in Syria. Only a few weeks ago, President Obama had agreed with Putin on a joint U.S.-Russian military campaign against terrorists in Aleppo. Terrorists are in quotes. That agreement collapsed primarily because of an attack by U.S. warplanes on Syrian forces. Russia and its Syrian allies continued their air assault on East Aleppo now, according to Washington and the rest of the mainstream media, against anti-Assad rebels. Where, asked Cohen, have the jihad terrorists gone? They have been deleted from the U.S. narrative, which now accused Russia of war crimes in Aleppo for the same military campaign in which Washington was to have been a full partner. Equally obscured here, Cohen adds, is that West Aleppo, largely controlled by Assad forces, is also being assaulted by rebels, and children are dying there as well. And why there is no U.S. government or media concern about the children who will almost certainly die in the U.S.-backed campaign to recapture Mosul in Iraq, Cohen thinks that the stenographic American media has gone from the fog of Cold War to falsification. Cohen and Batchelor end by reflecting on how these developments will affect the week's negotiations in Europe, not only regarding the Syrian crisis, but the Ukrainian civil war as well. So, again, what is probably the U.S.'s top three foreign policy objective right now is creating a consolidated rebel effort against Assad, and to working with Putin and working with Russia is incredibly important in that area, because we are the two competing forces to the east and the west of Syria. We have both of Putin's relationship with Assad is well documented, so we clearly need a partnership with Russia. And when you have the next president of the United States likely fanning those flames, that's not good. That's not only not good for us, that's not good for the rest of the world, and that's not good for our interests in the Middle East. So I wanted to just hop on here and say that these political maneuvers by her and her extremely arrogant campaign have actual tangible consequences for policy in this country. And you have CNN and MSNBC, Fox News. Why do we have to rely on Fox News for journalism? Because CNN and MSNBC have gone full Trump mania and just aren't calling Hillary Clinton out on anything. But they're just regurgitating this narrative. We have this Daily Beast article, which should be noted that Chelsea Clinton is on the board of the parent company of the Daily Beast. Just while they bring up that the Trump campaign says that it is false, the whole article is chock filled with statements by spokespeople like Brian Fallon, Clinton's spokesperson. They say they're giving evidence for said Russian involvement. It's dangerous. We don't have any proof yet. If we do have proof, and if they tell us, I will be the first one to say I was wrong. But I'm not even saying that this is categorically false. I don't have any evidence either, but I'd like some before we start fanning these war flames and antagonizing a leader who is not hesitant to flex his muscle as well, and going after a massive country that rivals us in terms of its power and its prowess and influence around the country. So, that's all I really have to say about that. Just, we're in dangerous times now. Now that I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that Hillary Clinton's going to be president, let's just start criticizing her right now. Also, did I mention Russia? I didn't think I did yet. All right, have a great day, guys.